All right. This is Hidden Narratives, and we are back. We are discussing Jurassic Park, 1993 creature feature by Steven Spielberg. The premise of the movie is that on a remote island of Isla Nublar, billionaire, always a problem, the billionaires, entrepreneur John Hammond has created a revolutionary theme park, Jurassic Park, populated by genetically resurrected dinosaurs using DNA extracted from prehistoric mosquitoes. Preserved in amber, Hammond's company, InGen, has brought dinosaurs back to life. Hijinks ensue. So, Steven Spielberg directs the movie. Michael Crichton wrote the book, and as I understood it, was paid several $1 million to the rights for that book before he'd even finished it. I was paid an additional $500,000 to write a script for it, but they passed on his version of the script and made the movie. So I was 8 years old when I saw this movie because my dad said, if you want to see Jurassic Park, you have to read the book. So I did. And I don't think he thought I would do that or understand it. So I called his bluff. But I finished the book and he said, let's go see it. So Thomas, what was your first viewing of Jurassic Park?
Let me set the stage for you. I was young. I loved dinosaurs. I was pretty much going to love that movie no matter what came out.
Yeah.
So,
yep. All right. Well, that's a good podcast, fellas.
Things going into it. Yeah. I mean, I think we're done, right? Yeah. No, I mean, so whenever we went into it, it was like one of those things where, okay, so we'd all seen the claymation stop motion stuff like from earlier on because we're old. So we all watched stuff that was older than us. And like, you know.
Was there a movie called The Lost World?
Yeah, and like the Sophia Loren movie, I think was that may have been the same one. It doesn't really matter, but it was all basically stop motion. Like a great example of that would have been Sinbad back in the day, not the comedian, of course, but The Adventures of Sinbad, where they had stop motion animation, and that was really, and actually, by the way, oddly enough, that was one of the things that Steven Spielberg originally thought they were going to do. Now, I fast forward all of this to say, so when I walk into the theater and I'm like, all right, time to see some dinosaurs, and some fucking dinosaurs showed up, like real ones. To Little Thomas, yeah, man, this movie slayed it all over the place. It was awesome.
The animatronics in the movie still hold up really well. Like I watched it, and it's the animatronics, all the parts that from 1993, like when you're watching it, they don't feel like animatronics. They look very tangible. Like they do look like they're breathing, and they are real animals. The only thing that does has Unfortunately, the CGI, we are in 2025 now, and the CGI is a little bit like the CGI is, 1993 grade. So my introduction to Jurassic Park was you and Dad had seen the movie because you got to go see it, and then I guess it had come out on video, and we rented it. And for reasons I'm really not completely sure of, Dad thought I could handle it. And those velociraptors gave me some nightmares at like, what was I, 7? When I came out on VHS 6, maybe?
Yeah, that's probably about right, because it was a little while after a movie was in theaters before you could watch it on
like VHS. It wasn't immediate like it is these days.
Nowadays, where it's also available to stream while it's in the theater.
What is funny, when you're reading the novel, the Cray supercomputers that they're talking about in the novel, they're like, oh, these things can do like 100,000 files in a minute. This is cutting edge technology. And I'm kind of like sitting there laughing at it because, A, it is a good timestamp of where we were on like the cutting edge computers where you've like, and then it is funny that like fast forward, I'm working for the company that bought Cray, and so we use the Cray exascale systems for like the huge stuff nowadays. It's very cool, and engineering aspects, like, yeah, cool, we're bringing on the AI overlords, and that's neat and everything. But it was funny, like remembering reading the book, being like, Cray, oh, that's interesting, and then suddenly fast forward, and they're like, hey, so we're gonna buy Cray. I was like, oh, cool. We're going to have dino DNA.
That's the dinosaur machine. Like you said, Tyler, we're all very young. We saw it the first time. Thomas, had you read the book yet when you saw the movie?
No, I had not. So I read the book like almost immediately after seeing the movie because, obviously. And if you want a quick synopsis on this one, I was probably too young to read the book and really, especially at my hyperactive ass. I mean, like, I was skirting through. I was like, I want to see all the action stuff. I want to, do all that stuff. But like going back and trying to remember it now, knowing that like the things that were changed in the movie were pretty vast. Yeah, I mean, like Well, I was young, so I mean, I read Lord of the Rings like at the same time I was reading Jurassic Park, so I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I do know that like some of the differences between the two did throw me off a bit because then when you're going back and reading, you're like, wait, Ian Malcolm dies at the end, and even though they did retcon that later, and he ends up later in Jurassic Park: The Lost World, like he did die in the book.
Yeah, so did John Hammond.
Yes, he did. He was the one who was eaten by those little things, like where they let off. That was the lead off of the first or the second movie. That terrible,
Henry
terrible,
Wu got
awful
eaten?
movie we're not going to talk about.
Well,
but yeah, but like or Ellie and Dr. Grant, they're not an item. She's just a student of his.
Yeah, that was interesting. Well, yeah, they kind of flirt with the idea because I think Dr. Malcolm asked him a question about that while they're in the Jeeps later, and he says he kind of implies they are, but in the book they definitely were an item.
They were not an item in the book.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was in the movie they implied it, and in the book they were not. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, no, they didn't imply it. They straight up said it. Like in the same Jeep scene, Dr. Grant said, "Yeah, we are," and he said, "Oh, I didn't know." Oh, okay. He's like, "Well,
yeah, I guess it was pretty direct." But yeah, so the movie, when we were 8, obviously the Tyrannosaurus scene and the Velociraptors, all that stuff was. I mean, to be honest, I was terrified in the theater. Even though I'd read this story, I knew what was theoretically going to happen, and like you just pointed out, the movie actually ended better than the book did in terms of survival rates. But looking back on growing up and then watching it again over the years, of course, you pick up on more of the other things that were in the movie that were interesting. And then more about the books. But the movie opens with a very dark jungle scene. You don't really know what's going on. A lot of leaves moving. And we're introduced to Robert Muldoon, who's the game warden of this park. And he is unloading a new creature of some kind. It's not really clear what it is. We all know it's dinosaurs at this point. But and then a man is eaten. And that's not exactly how the book starts, but it's very similar because a man is mauled by a raptor and that. And it gets off the island, and so they're aware something's going on. But at this point, we don't really know why there's a dinosaur in a box and why he's eating people. And then we cut to, we've got Dr. Grant and Sattler digging dinosaur bones up. Well, how many of you wanted to be a paleontologist?
I wanted to be Indiana Jones. Does that count?
Adjacent, yeah. Onologist.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, I was digging up stuff. If I found a dinosaur, great. If I found the Ark of the Covenant, that's also fine.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I think I was probably planning on being a paleontologist all the way up until I got to college and forgot that was the plan and then did nothing. But
where do we rank that opening scene for best opening to a movie? It's like, because you're like, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, if you're showing this to someone who's not ever seen or knew anything about Jurassic Park, I feel like that opening scene would probably stick out to being like, I am hooked. I am in this. Whatever's going to happen next, I am all in. Like,
yeah,
especially since it didn't really show it. That was pretty.
Yeah, he's just that. You've got a man screaming with his hand out, and Muldoon's yelling to shoot her, and you're like, shoot her,
levitating up the wall in weird ways. Like,
they're just very strange,
him, like, up and down.
Very strange delivery system. I don't know what they were really trying to do there, but yeah. And
it's
then
like the dinosaurs were somehow or another on some form of conveyor belt that they were just kind of manhandling him as he went up and down it, and they said, whatever, that's fine. They were operating a forklift.
He was just like, yeah. You can come in. No, you can't. Yeah, you can. No, you can't. No,
little nibble in the bottom, little nibble on the top.
That raptor had enough of that shit. He was just like, all right, that's enough.
I just wanted to, can we just do like a quick aside at how much of like Michael Crichton was like a legitimate real life badass? Like, he was an ER doctor. He was 6'8". And he wrote dinosaur books. And honestly, really good like sci-fi literature that a lot of the science, I'm not saying it wasn't cloud seeding bullshit that we kind of hear about these days where it's like voodoo science. Like, it felt very believable, and a lot of the stuff on it still, when I was reading it, it's like, it's not impossible, and he did it in a very approachable way. Like, reading the book, the science in this book felt realistic, maybe not real, but realistic.
Very much reminiscent to like Carl Sagan and Cosmos, to where like things kind of seem so futuristic, but also they pan out to be somewhat almost entirely correct. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we can clone animals now, and the gap keeping us
now.
Like, I was going to say a gap that was keeping us from dinosaur cloning was just sufficient amounts of DNA. So it was.
One of them's like a turkey burger thing, and the other one's like some sort of weird mastodon that's going to be. No, I think it's the woolly mammoth to be able to help with the Arctic cooling stuff. So, I mean, it's literally wow. Here we are. Kudos to Mike. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, he was like, yeah, it's gonna be wrote Timeline, not a great movie, but a really great book.
I like Timeline. Timeline's an
Yeah,
awesome
that was
book.
good.
Yeah,
Congo was a
that one
great
Jeez, that
book.
was so good.
Congo. So I'm always like wondering, like, what made this guy be like, yeah, the ER doctor life and like being 6'8", and when I see pictures of him, I'm generally like handsome guy. Why was he so like, I'm gonna write novels? I'm not gonna write novels, but I am going to write like some bangers. Like, did you guys ever read Andromeda Strain?
Yeah. Oh
It was like
yeah, really good
1980s
book.
or something like that,
Terrifying.
and it's like Jesus Christ! Like, I still think about that. But I was thinking about that book
Oh
a
yeah.
lot during COVID. But I just
Sa-
kudos to Michael Crichton in general. Like totally lottery of like he won at life. I don't know what he died from, but I'm sad when he died. So we can get back to the minute. I just wanted to just shout out a real
no,
one.
yeah, I agree. Definitely related. um, yeah, so we get our paleontologist and our paleobotanist Ellie Sattler, and they are
And real fast, I'm sorry, 1969 publishing of the Andromeda Strain and 1971 film adaptation. This dude's been crushing it since the 60s.
Jesus, to have like it was that old, and when you read it, a lot of it feels like it could have been written today. I mean, minus some of the computers and stuff like that. But when I remember reading it, I was like,
I totally agree. So we get Dr. Sattler, Dr. Grant on their dig, and Dr. Hammond, or John Hammond, I don't know if he's a doctor, billionaire John Hammond shows up. He's been financing their digs for research, and he has a proposal for them to come visit his little new attraction that he's working on. Go ahead, Thomas.
If you don't mind, we are skipping over a very important character moment that proves that Dr. Alan Grant is, in fact, a goddamn psychopath.
That Alan Grant is a psychopath?
Yes, I do believe I can direct you to none other than when he is explaining the velociraptor to a small child and explaining that you are alive when they eat you.
And you
I
feel
mean,
like
just to
this was a
prove how
bad
much he
move.
despises children, he was like, and this is the thing, they'd cut you up. I mean, the fear is palpable. Why did we need that, Dr. Grant?
Because there was a child on his dig site being a shithead. And I don't understand what your problem is, to be honest. That seemed like exactly how you talk to a child
I think
on a
this is
dig.
exactly what happened. This was, it was the most accurate thing ever. He wanted to convey to Dr. Ellie Sattler, he was like, I don't fucking like kids. I do not like kids. You need to know this. I don't want them, and I'm not going to have them. And so she's like, you're going to have a kid. You want to see my parenting? I will prove it to you right now.
A side
Come
note,
here, fat boy.
it was uncovered recently. Dr. Grant actually paid that kid to show up and ask a stupid question just so he could do that little bit to perform for Dr. Sattler.
Actually, even came out that kid was 27 years
kid
old.
was a plant
Totally an
and
adult.
knew it.
He was living like a little person, man. It's fine. He's like just a great actor.
No, you're absolutely right. All right, you're right, though. That proves that Dr. Grant is willing to speak the truth to children at the very least.
That's what we're calling it.
Hey, is he wrong about what the Raptors would do? I don't think so.
Yes, it turns out actually quite a bit. They are not as big as that. They should have had feathers, and we don't know how they really hunted.
Well, yeah, we can get into the differences in the specific species differences because yeah, the Velociraptor in reality, as far as we know, is much smaller. It was like 6, a few feet tall, not nine,
and not
9
even
feet
in the
tall.
Jurassic period.
But well, yeah, none of these
I
are.
want to know how much.
For the most part.
I want to know how much money he was paying them because at the beginning of the movie he says like, "Oh, fully fund your dig for another 2 years," and I'm sitting there going, "Gosh, that must be expensive." Well, was it like $50,000? He's like, spend, no expense.
They
It's
said
like,
it. No, it's
fucking
not that
promise
much.
that was. I'm gonna totally fund your dig, but I've got real dinosaurs over here, so like, no one's gonna want
like-
to do that. Y'all can
Yeah,
dig
it's
I'm
what you
kind of
want
like,
Stop
why do you give a
digging.
shit about funding digs if you have the real thing now? No offense, but like, okay.
to. They
Well,
even joked. They're like, I guess we're out of business.
I mean, he had
Yeah,
to butter him
you
up.
are.
What are you gonna do? Say no to your benefactor? You don't believe? They don't know what they're getting into. But anyway,
Technically, I guess paleontology would still exist because they would need them to dig up more bones to get more amber, to be able to dig more,
yeah,
get more DNA, I guess, out of.
yeah. Then it
more
becomes
dinosaurs.
then they're mining for deep substrate
pirates.
fossilized
The dirt
mosquitoes.
pirates.
Yeah, and dirt pirates looking for dino booty. So then we get to meet the best character in the movie and probably at this point the most famous actor in the film, one Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum. Now, even in the book, he's pretty weird, but he just grabs this part by the shirt collar and then just chews scenery for 2 hours, and it's it's
He
excellent.
grabs by the shirt collar and then unbuttons it maybe 4 buttons down, and then gives
Oh,
it a quick
That shit button down to his belly button. It's
yeah,
like
but he's also wearing a leather jacket.
leather jacket, leather pants.
They're in Costa
Whose idea
Rica.
was it was like, let's make a mathematician a rock star?
I think that was the
doesn't
thing that I thought
exist.
was hilarious about it. I don't know exactly a ton of mathematicians in my personal life. I mean, I've, sometimes in work, I, get to have some conversations with some of them occasionally. They are what you imagine a person who's a mathematician for a career looks like and dresses like, which is neither bad, it's
I
standard,
would
but
like
then
to.
I like how he's like chaos theory, baby.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the only example that I'm aware of to where they literally made a mathematician use his profession to pull some poon. I mean, like truly amazing.
Oh yeah,
And like everyone celebrated that. Look at that fucking mathematician.
just like him dropping water in her
so
hand.
cool.
Oh, so smooth.
And like he never really said anything but the basic overlays of just chaos theory, which is pretty simple.
Yeah,
And he was still like, Ellie Sattler and me are gonna definitely.
it was the
talk.
implication, though. It was the implication.
Yeah.
Like they're like in the middle of the T-Rex thing. He's like, so Sadler, she
Yeah, they're in great
it
peril.
was pretty direct. I wouldn't say even.
This is before everything goes haywire. Right before that, she literally stuck her arm into a giant piece of dino shit.
So we get everybody to the island, and John Hammond is getting ready to explain why he's gathered a mathematician, a paleobotanist, a paleontologist, and of course the investor's lawyer. He's actually the only guy here who's really making any sense. To be honest,
Like-
we can tell, but yeah, the mathematician's odd, but the chaos theory element probably is why, because he's trying to control a very complex system, and we'll get into how that's problematic all the time. But you've got the lawyer there.
Invitation to someone who would. That one just seems out of place. You could have gotten anybody.
Yeah, who knows? Somebody you knew in college that did philosophy or something.
Even bring a calculator.
Yeah, and we were told at that age that there would not be calculators available, so I guess they were just sticking to the script.
Yes, that's true. So they predicted everything but the cell phone and calculator. That was
exactly.
Genetics, all that, DNA splicing, everything, CRISPR, all that, but not the calculator.
Right. So they get out to this island, and he's explaining kind of what they're doing, but he just takes them out to show them instead of telling them, and they get their first look at actual dinosaurs. And that scene alone is pretty neat because the looks on their faces when they look up and see brachiosaurs looming above them hundreds of feet in the air. I have to imagine that's what my face would look like if I actually saw something like that in real life. I've seen impressive things or really cool things, but I've never seen something that should not be there like that. And that would be fascinating.
Oh yeah, that scene is just peak
Dr. Hammond really
Spielberg. I don't know where we rank Spielberg's movies, but I feel like that scene is probably has to be his top 5 movie scenes all time, period. And if it's that, then it's probably one of the top movie scenes all time, period, too. I mean, it captures why we go to the movies. That's why we go to the movies, for scenes like that.
So keep in mind that he was editing this movie during the direction of Schindler's List, so he would probably take some exception to that. But yeah, I totally agree.
No, hell of a year for Steve there. That brings up an interesting question. I was listening to the Rewatchables podcast, the 25-year anniversary of this movie back from 2018, and they were talking about the run of movies that Spielberg is involved with. He does Jaws, or not Jaws. Yeah, he does Jaws, obviously. Gets himself known, and then he's wanting to work on Jurassic Park, but the studio was, or on Schindler's List, but the studio was like, yeah, that's cool, but we need you to do another creature feature. That's what you're known for. So if you want Schindler's List, you got to do Jurassic Park. So he said, deal. And
on time, under budget.
On time and under budget, and with practical effects that look sensational across the board. The T-Rex the T-Rex attack scene is, I think, to date, still the best scene in movie history in terms of the fear, the tension, the build up, the drama, what is coming. But then when it does happen, it's just definitely the best dinosaur scene. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
as a matter of fact, goddamn, there hasn't been any other good dinosaur scenes really outside of that movie.
Nothing that even came close to like the majesty and awe that one did the first time you saw it. Like, oh,
not even close. Yeah, I can't.
No, The Lost World was good for like an hour and a half, and then it became the worst movie I've ever watched, and it was a rapid decline. It was insane.
It was just,
which
but
is
we
a
can't
shame.
get into that because I'll spend all of my time telling you how much I was so disappointed and how much I hated that movie.
We'll do
a
Lost World specific podcast because I'm with you there. I have some thoughts. I need to rewatch it again with an adult mind and a Tony Gilroy lens to help clarify things, but I don't know if that can save the gymnastics in the Hong Kong.
I wouldn't do it to you, man. I wouldn't do it to you.
It's just something else. But yeah, so once we get past the wonderment of seeing these dinosaurs, we get into the visitor center where we're having conversations about what we just saw, and all of the scientists are just like, "What in the fuck have you done here?" and clearly showing alarm because we've learned that we have a Tyrannosaurus Rex on site and we have Velociraptors, which Dr. Grant has just demonstrated to the poor child, I guess Thomas's nephew or something, who was like traumatized by it. and so we know the Velociraptors are bad.
I don't want kids play out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sold everybody. Don't let that man have kids.
Yeah, I mean, no, child services wouldn't let him have it at this point. I think we're good.
So like you guys said, we don't really know what a Velociraptor is yet. We've just seen a baby hatch out of an egg. We know that's going on. And then it's time to take a tour. And that's when we introduce the best part of any plan, bringing more children on scene. The grandchildren of John Hammond arrive. And, of course, one of them is a big fan of Dr. Grant's work as a paleontologist and has read every book and knows every single detail. The annoying part about that in the movie is that in the book, it was the girl, and she was the nerd that was into the sports and into the science and stuff, and he was into the computers. And I just thought that was an unnecessary change because it was like, oh, it's okay for a boy to be a nerd into dinosaurs, but we can't have a girl do it. But anyway.
Well, but I mean, but remember...
When B.D. Wong, the scientist, is like, oh, yeah, they're all genetically female. And then they're like, well, like they can't breed. And like, they're like, oh, later on, it turns out that they can breed and all this stuff. I want to say either a week or 2 weeks ago, I read a story about how there was, maybe was it a shark or a manatee or something like that? That was like, it was an all female enclosure. And one of them like spontaneously changed sexes or something like that. And then they started mating.
Which is exactly
I'm gonna have to look this up. I won't do it right now, but I remember I read something very recently, and caveat, it could have just been a fake headline sort of thing, which is plausible.
But yeah, that's true.
It felt like it wasn't an actual like publication, but I want to say I read something or saw something recently where it was an all female enclosure like group, and one of them kind of spontaneously switched over sexes and then started breeding. I was like, Malcolm.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty good bit in like the insect community.
We know that happens with the amphibians. That was an actual fact from the movie.
Yeah. So but, I was like, damn, Michael Crichton, man ahead of his time.
I forgot that before.
Could I just?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Tom.
Real fast. On the Lex and Timmy,
Tim.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Tim. So on the Lex and Tim thing, remember in the book though, Lex is actually younger than the boy, and she's like 7 or 8, and basically is just annoying the entire book. And the boy is both a nerd and the computer geek. So the reason they did Lex, or Spielberg explained, the reason they brought her up is because there really was no character outside of annoyance in the book.
Oh,
so
that's
they wanted
right.
to
She
give
was
her
a lot
some
younger.
Purpose in it. Yeah, so they made her the older one, him the younger one. She was the computer geek. He was the dinosaur nerd. Just kind of hit up that way.
Well, that's fair. I'll take that. That's a good update. I forgot before we start the tour in the Jeeps. Actually, Toyota Land Cruisers. We'll get into that too. But the first thing they must do is swing by the Raptor Paddock, which is where we get to see Dr. Grant and Dr.
Right before lunch.
Robert Muldoon have a discussion about the Raptors, where he explains how incredibly intelligent they are. They're clearly working things out. They plan, and then they drop a cow.
Problem solving.
Yeah, when she looks at you, you know she's thinking. But then they drop a cow in right before lunch, which is always an appetizing thing to see, is the slaughter of an animal right before you eat one.
I believe they were having sea bass.
Chilean sea bass. So, then they have their dinner, and they make their dire predictions, but then it's time to get to the park and start looking at dinosaurs, and then they get into automated Land Cruisers, which at the time for us was cool because our dad worked at Toyota. So we just thought that was cool because, we're kids in America. Brand loyalty is a thing.
Those weren't Land Cruisers. Those were Ford Explorers.
I'm sorry. In the movie, they were Ford Explorers. In the book, they were Land Cruisers. I keep forgetting that. It was the second movie where they brought in the Mercedes.
Second movie was
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one had the Mercedes.
Yeah, they should have been
Sorry.
Land Cruisers, but Ford bought the product placement for that one. So yeah, no.
To be honest, those Fords and those Jeeps, I would happily, if those ever came on for sale, although I'm sure they're collector's items and completely unaffordable. If they
Yeah.
ever did come on sale, I would get one. I would buy one, and I would not just have it in my garage. I'd be like using it as my personal day-to-day car. Those things were awesome.
Oh, yeah, take it mudding. Well, and just the glass, like the moonroof or dinosaur roof, we'll call it for this, was really cool. I mean, it certainly didn't bode well for them in
Yeah,
the car when the Tyrannosaur attacked, but it sure made it interesting to watch the attack. That was a good move by both Spielberg and Crichton to write that in, because that was a really cool visual. I've seen I don't know, Tyler, if you remember this. I had a book when we were kids of the making of the movie, and it was, it had details like how they filmed the cups of water vibrating when the Tyrannosaur was walking up and stuff. But yeah, they had a lot of like the sketches, the pre-art sketches or whatever, and that was one of the most scary ones. Was the Tyrannosaur's face just coming right into that window, and they had their hands and feet up on it. And the way they executed that scene in the movie, I thought was just really neat. And the kids did a great job acting the scene. I mean, just terrified, which obviously would be. But.
No, I mean, it was a very neat scene, the way the window was popped out and everything. A little bit of a fun fact on that one, too. Remember that although there was CGI interspliced through all this, of course, Spielberg used largely like animatronics, like Tyler was talking about earlier, and the T-Rex was one of the first things they built. It was kind of like that little situation when the first time that they actually saw the dinosaurs on the CGI and they were looking at it. Well, the first time everyone saw the actual like animatronic thing, apparently was like, damn, that's really real. So some of that fear probably pretty legit.
Sure. Well, I know in the movie Stand By Me, when they're on the bridge running from the train, I guess Rob Reiner wasn't satisfied with the level of fear they were showing in the scenes. He
kill those kids.
Screamed at them right before they filmed it. So they were genuinely terrified as they were running from the train. But yeah, probably couldn't get away with that anymore.
Sissies.
Too soft.
Wokeified child labor laws.
Damn woke. Yeah.
So here's an interesting twist. So they're on the tour. They're riding the thing. They have not seen any dinosaurs yet, and Ian Malcolm has complained about that, and John Hammond has said, "I really hate that man," and I say that phrase a lot these days. I won't say about whom, but it resonates with me. So once they get on the road, it's like, okay, this is cool. They come across a Triceratops that has taken ill, and that's where we get one big pile of shit from Ian Malcolm as they're trying to figure out why the children are, or why the dinosaurs are sick. And abruptly, it starts thundering and lightning because, as we're learning back at the control room, a tropical storm has appeared as if from nowhere. It is now threatening the tour.
Remember in the book, Dr. Hammond is portrayed much more as the evil person. He is the main antagonist, not the dinosaurs. And he does know about that, and in the book it makes sure to point out that he could have canceled it, but he was willing to put his own grandchildren at risk during this hurricane that may throw things off because of his yearn and desire for money.
Yeah, you're right about the book part, and they don't say that in the movie, but it's very clear he feels that way because.
But he's played so nice though by
the
guy who plays him, and I can't remember, but they wrote him a little bit nicer than than they should.
No, you're right, because he was a lot more shrewd in the book, and like you said,
he was
just willing to sacrifice. He's like, all right, guys, we're going to take you on this tour, and some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
The reason he died at the end of the first book is because he was the bad guy. He had to die.
Oh yeah. Now Samuel Jackson, he wasn't famous yet, but he was like a known commodity, right? I'm trying to remember where he was in his like
known-ish. He was finally going by Samuel L. Because remember, originally he started out by just going. It started off
as Sam Jackson, right?
Yep, Sam Jackson. Even in I think it was the movie Jackie Brown that he first went Samuel L.
What was Jack? Was that 97?
I honestly, I want to say it was 94, 95.
Because Sam Jackson did go on a heater because he did this. What was the Time to
Jackie
Kill?
Brown was considered a bit of a flop. 97.
That was so crazy.
Boy, you nailed it. 97.
Wasn't he also like I felt like in the 90s, he was just like in every, like he just kind of went on it wasn't like a Tom Hanks or a Tom Cruise, like
are
hot
right about
streak of
that.
movies, but he was just in a lot of stuff in the
Yeah,
90s.
Jackie Brown
And I'd
can't
say,
go
good for you,
he did A
man.
Long Kiss Goodnight around that
Oh, The
time
Long
when he
Kiss
did-
Goodnight
with
was
Samuel
so
Jackson.
good.
Yeah.
That's not a
And
dick, it's a
Negotiator.
duck.
Forget what I said earlier. I'm way off. He is like a 1992, 93. Okay, maybe I'm thinking of Goodfellas because he was in Goodfellas.
Sam Jackson was in
God.
Goodfellas?
Yeah.
I haven't
He's the
seen
only
that
black
in a
guy
long
in
time.
Goodfellas.
Well, I was going to say, he must have been, because I don't even remember that.
Yeah. He did not have a lot of lines, but
Wow.
he was the getaway driver on the Lufthansa scheme.
Okay. Where were we?
Just saying, we get introduced to Sam Jackson.
Yes, we get the control room, and
totally fucked it up. Sorry about that.
And we meet Wayne Knight playing Dennis Nedry, who is the sole proprietor and supervisor of the entire security system of the park. Which, Tyler, you're in IT. Is that wise?
That is one of the dumbest things you could possibly do if you're like sitting there trying to do a high availability concept for park infrastructure. I mean, it's called single point of failure, people. And we go through so many different aspects, and when we're doing some of our design reviews, to make sure that any one component or any one system is, if it goes down, it's not going to take the system down. And what is always hilarious is we keep seeing this time and time again. You can have the most resilient hardware out there. We have a system called Synergy, and it hosts like 12 compute blades. But we designed the chassis for this thing to literally, if the power is not turned off, it will run for 1 million years.
That seems pretty efficient.
Problem is, people turn power off all the time. You would not believe how many times we've had something happen. I've got called on something, and I don't work in support, but like a customer just like talking to us, and they're like, "Yeah, so someone came in and just yanked some stuff out that weren't supposed to." It's like, Jesus Christ, why? It's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not as much, but it is baffling, and this is probably one of the more, I think, hilarious things. I think you kind of mentioned that in the notes, Grant. It's like, you don't put this much if it's something you don't understand, and obviously no one really understands the compute or the technical infrastructure of this place, except for like one guy, which I think is, well, the problem is there is no one
Michael
person
Crichton
who can
actually
do
did
all
address
the,
this in the book because it was a much more diminished role as this systems architect, basically, is what they had him like set up as in the movie. Whereas now or actually in the book, it was he was just kind of a contractor. They kept piling more and more stuff on that wasn't part of his contract, which made him more receptible to being bribed. So he was really over just like one section, and then he kind of went rogue and then went into, he wasn't actually responsible for everything.
Right, he was just disgruntled and
shorter.
Doing corporate espionage, and on his way out, inadvertently got a lot of people killed because to get out of the park, he decides to shut the power down, which wouldn't be that big a deal except for the automated vehicles that are on the tracks with the grandchildren of the owner. So at this point, Hammond is pretty pissed at what's going on, and Nedry's nowhere to be found because, as it turns out, he is on his way to take DNA in a really cool Barbasol can to InGen's competitor. I don't remember the name.
Dodson.
Gentech. Yeah, Dodson. We got Dodson here. So he's on his way to deliver the goods, but of course it's pouring rain, and he loses control of the vehicle, and unfortunately for him, runs into the Dilophosaurs, which are the spitting dinosaurs, the spitting cobras of the dinosaur world, which allegedly they spit poison venom into your eyeballs to blind you and then rip your guts out. Another violent death for another person fucking around with power they didn't understand. You got to feel a little bit bad for him, though, because, he wasn't really trying to hurt anybody. He was just, you could argue he was doing the Lord's work, taking the dinosaur DNA to somebody else, so at least there's some competition so that park prices won't be insanely high later, but who knows? What are your thoughts?
I just have to imagine if you're working around this stuff day in, day out, you would not be sitting there thinking, you know what we need to do? Steal this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, we need to contain this. We do not need to open it. Like, if I were working there, like, on site, and that's just where I was working, day in, day out and saw all that shit, I'm like, this is awesome. This is cool. But this can never leave this place. I don't care how cool it is.
I was just saying and I hate to keep going back, and I'll stop doing this, but
No, you're
it's
good.
just
No, I like the
just
book
whatever.
reference because that gives context. I enjoy that.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say that in the book, like Nedry was explained to be more of like a contractor who was kept largely in the dark. He was there for like record keeping, and like I said, contract stuff kept on coming up. And then what eventually ended up happening to him, as I'm remembering, uh, is that the way it was explained is that he didn't have any exposure to the actual dinosaurs. He knew what they were doing, but there was
Right.
not like that moment where they took him before the sea bass to go and show him the velociraptors.
Right. To
He was
him, it's
kept in
all
a room,
theoretical.
and it's like it could be chickens. He doesn't really know.
Yeah.
But he just knows it's worth a lot of money. He knows his dinosaurs. I mean, he's got to, but he doesn't know how far along necessarily they even would be. Which is why when he finally encounters a Dilophosaurus, he's like, "The fuck are you? Go away, stupid!" Because that's the first time he's really ever seen one.
He's like, "This is a weird lizard."
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little bit kind of a dodge, I would say, not saying dodge, but a little bit of a dodge from Michael Crichton to say that this guy worked in a park and knew they were doing dinosaurs but didn't know anything about them. That seems crazy. Everyone would be like, I'm going to go snoop.
Yeah.
And you'd find something or something.
If he was working remotely and doing all this stuff, then I'm like, all right, you might not know everything.
Yeah.
But
he knows what they're doing.
On site.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it's a bit of a dodge, but that was kind of the way it was framed.
Well, and it's really just a vehicle to turn the power off at this point, because that's once he's quickly dispatched after that. Like, he's dead, and the power is out. They have at this point, the tour has passed by the Tyrannosaur paddock. They've shown the goat, but nothing's happened. But now they're back. It's dark. It's raining, and the power goes out, and that's when shit gets.
One last thing before we do this. Just I want to make this real fast. Just the naivete of the 90s. The entire thing that Nedry pulled off was for a payoff of $1.5 million. He stole dinosaur DNA and only got $1.5 million.
Yeah, I missed the boat there.
Tyler,
go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, like, you know how, like, the Dilophosaurus, like, how from bones were they able to sit there? Like, I know they didn't actually know what the fuck they were talking about, but I just think it's hilarious. They were sitting there saying, like, this thing spits venom. Like, how the hell would you know that from the bones? And if you look at a skull of a hippopotamus, you would sit there and think that is probably the scariest creature that roams the world. And it actually is. But if you look at a hippopotamus, it is not a scary looking creature at all. But that skull of a hippopotamus, you're like, that thing's probably an alpha predator. No doubt.
If you look at the skeleton of a blue whale and you don't know that it was a blue whale, you'll find a hip bone.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll naturally assume it walks.
That is interesting. It's been too long since I was deep in the depths of paleontological research like I was in third grade. But I've always wondered, like, how do they deduce what bones, what structures existed based on the bones? And I understand that based on what their study of, real life animals that we still have, they're able to deduce a lot. And I'm sure there's been other developments, and they have found like actual tissue remains that were preserved somehow of a couple different dinosaurs. So there is some, built up evidence, but that's an interesting point though. What is your current knowledge of the state of paleontology?
What they would do. So some lizards do spit.
Right. We know snakes do, so maybe there's a similar structure that explains that. So
you base it off of like size and their feet and all that shit, and obviously like bone structure and all that crap. And I'm sure a lot of DNA evidence.
Yeah, DNA tells a lot. But this does bring up a point, though. Like I said, in third grade, I knew all of the names of the dinosaurs and how to pronounce them, but I don't even know if the Tyrannosaur is still even really a dinosaur. Like, it could have been canceled at this point because they discovered it.
I do know this
it crossed with something else,
Their seeing is in no way indicative of movement. Like,
no,
pretty much just said that was all bullshit. Of course it was. How do you know that from ocular cavities? That's insanity.
They're hunters. They walked. Yeah, they can see. But
it made it interesting. Zero chance I do encounter a T-Rex in my life. You better believe my first thought, if I do have a thought, is to stand absolutely still, because they say that they can't see movement. Even though that's completely false, my first thought will be like, be still.
I'm just going to scream, Ian, freeze!
I am absolutely going to scream, everyone freeze, and then run the fuck off.
Yeah, like, You don't really have to be the fastest person in the group. You just got to be faster than the last one.
Listen, I'm saving y'all. I'm sacrificing myself by running away while y'all are staying still, completely invisible. You're fucking welcome.
Yeah. Well, but this is an opportunity where you see that Malcolm and Dr. Grant are both good people. They realize that the kids are in danger because the lawyer Gennaro has bolted, which is, what Thomas just said he would do. So now we know how Thomas dies in the movie. He is on the toilet and he's eaten by a tyrannosaur. It's a shame, but...
All right, just real fast. Want to make sure and point out, in the book, Gennaro does not die.
Nope.
He is not an asshole. He is a lawyer that is all about the money, but the actual guy who dies is the head of public relations.
Yeah. You're quite right. But yeah, so I mean the lawyer really didn't do anything wrong along the way. All he did was say, I don't know about the safety here, but then he saw the value of the potential merchandising, which George Lucas will tell you is definitely worth the time to consider.
He came in and said, y'all are fucking worried about OSHA? Y'all are worried about OSHA.
We're going to have so much money.
Fine.
We're going to buy
$1
OSHA.
trillion.
Yeah.
We'll be good.
There's a dollar amount where ethics
we can afford it.
No longer
I'm
relevant.
the lawyer. That's how I get paid.
Yeah. I'm signing off. You fuckers can leave. Me and John are going to have a steak dinner.
I think Spielberg just killed a lawyer because I want to know what Spielberg's personal life was at that general time. Like, was he going through a divorce or something? Because it seemed like he took a lot of enjoyment out of killing the lawyer.
I mean, they made a meal out of it. The dinosaur didn't just like kill him. He grabs him by basically from the torso up and shakes him like a dog and then swallows him whole. And it's just like,
it's an
yikes.
amalgamation again of the PR director from the actual book who does die, and he actually plays with the dinosaur a little bit because it's a baby tyrannosaur.
He gets killed by the juvenile. And they
and so he plays like a little game. But the PR guy was going back to try to help the kids because he heard Lex scream. So he was like, shit. Because he was going to get away. He was being a little weasel.
That was Ed Regis.
Regis, thank you. I could not remember. For whatever reason, I knew it. I was like, Royal?
Yep. Oh, another book difference we didn't mention. Robert Muldoon survives and uses rocket launchers to explode raptors. But he does not survive the movie. We'll get to that scene because the power's out. The kids have been attacked by the Tyrannosaur. The Ford Explorer has been chucked into the tree, and we cut to Dr. Grant having rescued Lex with a pretty excellent move on the wire. I'm not sure if you can really hold your entire body.
Scene real quick.
Yeah,
it's bothered me. How the hell did the T-Rex get up there? Because when they are rappelling down from the fence, it is like 100-foot drop. But literally 5 seconds earlier, we see a T-Rex eat a goat.
From what I understand, that's just a mistake, or at least an angle difference. I think I read it explained once that there's like a flat plateau, and then there's that deep, like a cliff to the left of where the goat was. So they've moved farther down a little bit.
So they did give it an actual kind of explanation, or they just were like,
just said, fuck it.
We're just going to edit this and it's fine. It's way more exciting if they're trying to dodge a falling down.
It looked to me like a continuity error.
Huge cavernous area was supposed to keep the dinosaur.
Those never happen in movies.
And like the dinosaur was just like, I just stepped over it, I guess.
Yeah, he found a way up there, I guess. But you're right. That's bothered me too, because the physics of the shot don't work. There may be a cut scene that was in the middle that shows the difference as it transitions, and it just got cut or something. Who knows? But that's a good one to look up later to confirm, because I do feel like I've heard an explanation for it. But yeah, at any rate, the tree takes in the truck, and we discover that Tim is still alive, but he is thrown up. It's not feeling too good. And then Dr. Grant gets him out of the truck, and then they end up back in the truck at the bottom after a very harrowing fall to the bottom. I have never fallen out of a tree. Have either of you guys?
Nope. Never really climbed trees very much either. We kind of climbed them some. Never been much of a tree climber.
No, I'm kind of with you.
But I mean, like any tree I climbed, had I fallen out of it, I would assume I would have died. So the answer is pretty
presumably. But if you're in a Ford Explorer, I feel like your odds are actually a little better. But
were the Firestone tires still on there that were recalled? Because I understand that was a whole big thing.
I don't know. Thankfully, it didn't have the exploding airbags. But so then it's just Dr. Grant and the kids in the park at night, and they've been separated from everybody else. They don't know what's going on. All they can hear is a tyrannosaur roaring in the distance. So they set out to try and find other people. And then we get back to the rest of the gang who is still alive, and that's, I guess at that point, Dr. Sadler, Hammond, Samuel L. Jackson's still alive. Arnold, I guess is his character name. And then they realize that the cars have stopped, so they head out to try and find him. And that's when they discover bits and pieces of Gennaro, and they find a still alive but very wounded Ian Malcolm. And that's where we get another great cutscene of imagery from Spielberg with the rearview mirror and the objects in mirror closer than they appear as the Tyrannosaur lunges forward and takes off the side mirror.
Yeah, that's like a line that has literally, I think he's been able, if he never does any like thing again, I'm sure he still makes money off of saying we must go faster.
Oh yeah, well, and he does it in Independence Day, almost verbatim. Just faster.
Like it's funny, it turned into like his catch line. Like I got her. Like did they think that was going to be like his like Arnold Schwarzenegger can say I'll be back, like for the rest of his life. I'm wondering, like, I'm sure when they did that in Terminator, they're like, okay, that fucking rips. Let's do more of that. But I always wonder, like, when they were writing this scene, where they like Malcolm, they were like, all right, so we got a line on here that is going to literally stay with you for the rest of your life.
And if you ask him, he probably came up with it.
It's a good line.
I think that Jeff Goldblum just pulled the wool over all of our eyes, and that we thought he was taglining like a sentence, when in actuality he was taglining just his ability to be Jeff Goldblum in every role he's ever going to play. And that does not require repetition. It just requires him to show up and be Jeff Goldblum.
No, you're not wrong.
I think in so many ways.
Yeah, why even hand him a script? Just like,
yeah, I think actually largely it was improvised, his whole thing.
A lot. It had to have been, just because it's so bizarre. Like Crichton, none of the screenwriters could write
weird
that.
Dude.
They were like, do whatever you were doing in The Fly, but more flamboyant.
Can you be more Goldblum? He's like, yeah, I think I can.
He really does crush this movie, though. I think of all the characters, as a kid, Dr. Grant was my hero. Plus, he had my name, so it was just like, this is my, this is a guy. But ultimately, I think growing up, Ian Malcolm as a character, and of course Jeff Goldblum's performance win the movie from that standpoint. But yeah, so they make their escape from the T-Rex. They realize that shit is going pear-shaped on them, and systems keep failing all over the park. So they assume dinosaurs are running amok, which they are. The Velociraptors are hunting them, and at this point, the movie kind of just goes from build up and wonderment to a full throttle action movie of people trying to survive dinosaurs. We don't have to go through every scene by scene. I think we all know how it ends. So I would just say at this point,
the power scene is particularly expertly crafted, scary film. When she's like, I turned the power on, and like his arm falls on her. Rest in peace, Sam Jackson. And then also just the electric fence. I mean, that is great filmmaking, and like really good in my opinion.
I agree. And part of why is because the dinosaurs are always in the shadows. At this point, high dynamic range hadn't ruined film, so everything that's intended to be scary is hidden in the darkness. They're not. The dinosaurs are definitely shown in full multiple times throughout the movie. And like you said, the CGI is dated because it was fairly. They were still kind of perfecting it. Lights and Magic people came out with all the CGI for that, and they came up with the sound of the Tyrannosaur roar, which was similar to how they got Chewbacca, but they used an amalgamation of animals and that kind of stuff. So, just the sounds, the shots they use, the way they frame so much of the stuff, especially like you're saying, Tyler, that scene in the breaker room where she has limped her way through and is barely getting there and finally gets the power turned on, which of course leads us to another stressful moment while Tim is grabbing.
Can I real quick just weigh in on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I love that scene. It's an amazing scene. But when I was a kid, whenever she'd gotten through there, she'd locked the gate and everything, and then Arnold's arm came down on her. I was like, oh my God, it's an appendage. But in my young brain, I was like, did the Velociraptor grab the arm and just kind of play with her with it? I mean, he just kind of just, Oh, it's
You
no,
know,
it's not,
tickle.
bitch.
You
Wow,
know,
and your
tickle.
butt's in
You
the
know,
wall.
tickle.
I'm not gonna use my
Yeah,
claw.
I mean,
I'm
like,
gonna slap you with
seems
this.
like this was planned. There's the problem-solving Muldoon was talking about.
Yeah, no, he was using props to bitch slap her.
Ha Yeah, I didn't
Challenge!
eat this so I could use it to taunt you later.
Yeah, and
But they couldn't figure out a gate.
that's another like it's another like continuity problem. Like, how did the arm get there? Why was it above her? And where's the rest of it?
I mean, like, it's just a little strange. It felt like he was using it in his way.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But yeah, so let's do So we get through the Velociraptor attack there. People are getting picked off. The kids and Dr. Grant finally make it to the visitor center, which I don't know if any of you have been to Universal Studios and been to the Jurassic Park area, but they have a replica of that built, and it's really cool. And they have like the big arch gate and all that stuff with the flames. And we rode the water slide ride, which itself, is just a little water slide ride, but they did a good job of all the props and stuff. But anyway, I digress. That scene when the kids are in the kitchen and first they're sitting there, they've finally gotten some food. They've been out in the jungle for 2 days or for a day and a half. Tim's been electrocuted, brought back to life. I guess that's, what made him hard enough to go on to be Eugene Sledge later on in the Pacific. But anyway, the kids are in the kitchen and their acting here is really good. I think even looking back now, they're sitting in the kitchen. They realize that they're not alone and the Raptors are in the building, and to both of their credit, they think very quickly on their feet and they devise a escape plan, at least into the the back of the kitchen where they realize they're kind of trapped. And apparently the scene where she is trying to close the cabinet lid in the reflection, apparently that's like a direct quote of Kubrick in The Shining, which I heard.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say Jurassic Park did what none of the other movies have done properly, which was it refrained from the over dinosaur usage. Like, as you're kind of saying, practical effects, it kept them always kind of in the background. All of the other Jurassic Park movies, I haven't seen the new one yet. You kind of saw scenes from like the newest-ish one. I don't know, it was on Peacock or something like that. But they always, because they're like, well, we have the CGI now, let's just show the dinosaurs nonstop all the time. And it's like cool, but there's no interesting or tenseness with it.
Well, and
they did so well with this, and it's so perfectly rewatchable now. Is like they stay just always kind of out of sight. That there's always this hidden danger. And all the other Jurassic Park movies, in my opinion, it's always like, yep, there's the raptor. That's right. Scary.
And apparently,
like it does do the one scene.
Thought telekinesis.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And just to revisit the Tyrannosaur attack on the cars, one of the really cool elements of that scene too is the use of the night vision goggles, because you get to see the dinosaur for the first time through very dim green light, and it's just the claws on the unelectrified fence, and I thought that was really effective at being scary.
I realize that no one wants to go ahead and do like Silence of the Lambs, and that's like the ability to be able to see during the dark and like the whole night vision thing. But like Jurassic Park does it. They did in Silence of the Lambs. Basically, every time there's ever a night vision scene, it's always kind of the most awesome, like subtly disturbing scene you could possibly do in a horror genre. And yet we don't do it all the fucking time. It amazes me.
Yeah, but we'll show the dinosaurs doing backflips.
Yeah, I mean, instead we're gonna have to do some gymnastics to get out of here. I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Okay, no, let's not get there yet. Let's enjoy this one.
Sorry.
No, I'm with you.
It seeps through. It makes me mad.
So bad. Like that could have been a great movie.
And Spielberg was involved in that. Sorry.
No, you're 100% right. I will soapbox on that all night. We'll leave it for now.
Okay.
But
my bad.
Yeah. No. So then
I've held it in.
So the kids are in survival mode, and frankly doing better than the adults have been doing almost immediately.
I hate the second.
It's so bad, man. That last hour is just like, what are we doing? Like this movie right now, the animatronic Tyrannosaur looks like a real fucking dinosaur.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about the Velociraptor scene in the second movie, but I'm not going to do it. All right. Well, I mean, like this kitchen scene is the way I.
Okay. Well, I do want to say it's the Velociraptors when they're in the air ducts, and like for whatever reason, the way they did the lighting on the Velociraptor, like through like the vent, That
The DNA
scared
code
the
reflecting off
shit out
his.
of me. And it still kind of scares me when I saw the movie recently. I was like, oh, like,
Do you know
just
why they could
like,
do that? Because they
I've
had
never
both
seen like
both
lighting
the
like a
CGI
cross
and the
section like that on
animatronic
animals
being
before, and I've never seen it again. But
perfect.
that one on the Velociraptor, like, still, I was like, fuck yeah, Spielberg.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And when the Tyrannosaurus steps over the threshold for the first time and gets between the cars, and he's just like, "What the fuck are these things?" And that roar, I know in the theater, as an 8-year-old, at that point, I was definitely getting nervous. And then when he bellowed that roar out, I think I finally turned away for the first time in my life from a movie. It was like, oh my God. I rallied, but for that first moment, I was like, oh, this is real fear, which is just a tribute to the effectiveness of the scene. But it still feels that way. Like you said, with the Raptors at the end falling out of the ceiling, and they get surrounded by 4 or 5 of them. The hunting and pack thing is very evident, and it looks like they are donezo. And then old Mr. T-Rex is like, "Ooh, snacks," and starts chomping on raptors. And then you get Spielberg swinging for the fences a little bit and dropping the Rulers of the Earth banner across the
dude,
T-Rex.
that was iconic.
But honestly, it worked. It just
Yeah.
worked. And it's like, I think if anybody tried to do it again, it would be laughable. But Spielberg was like, this is the moment when I drop a banner over a T-Rex as it roars in victory. And it's fucking great. And that's it.
Steven Spielberg was a master.
Problem is, they keep making these Jurassic Park movies, and they keep
perfect. Except for the editing.
Sorry, Thomas.
All perfect, except for the editing. I said that's because Steven Spielberg was just a master of his craft at storytelling back in those days. He was going along, creating new digital effects companies like George Lucas did to be able to make the dinosaurs into what they turned out to be. He was swinging for the fence, knocking it out every single time. It was all perfect, with the exception, obviously, of the editing.
Is he the most influential or important director of the modern era? I'm not necessarily saying best, but just his impact
Stanley
on the.
Kubrick was largely not a commercial success, but has gone down as probably the greatest director of all.
Yeah, I think that's
maybe Orson Welles.
Right, as far as directors go, but in terms
Spielberg
of
really
their
done
impact on
any
the industry,
meaningful movies since Munich? Was that like the last one he did that kind of felt?
He did Minority Report, which was pretty good.
A Minority Report was amazing. Was it Munich? Was that the one he did? Where it's probably is not aging very well right now.
Is he just producing
the Jewish? Munich, didn't he? I thought he did Munich, but that was the one where Daniel Craig's like the Jewish. It's not aging well right now. But
Munich was really good. It had Alfred Molina and.
I love Alfred.
I feel like that was like the last one of Spielberg.
Yeah, I'm looking.
I know West Side Story is getting a lot. I never saw it though, to be honest. Did you guys see West Side Story? Thomas's face is saying like he didn't even realize it happened.
I'm like, did they redo West Side Story like the musical?
I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I don't know about this one.
Like about
and then he did
dueling gangs of choreographers. No, I did not see that one.
No, and I thought I might check it out some Spielberg, and then he did that other one where it's like a retelling of his childhood, sort of. But I didn't see that one either. Like I just feel like he's not really been the Fablemans. I've not really been. Christopher Nolan is the new Spielberg. Where if he's coming out with a movie, it feels like, oh, I got to go see that. Oh, Tarantino is as well, but I feel like Nolan is the one that's like kind of the tour de force as far as like the cinematic experience goes.
Oh, definitely.
Until his first major league absolute flop, absolutely. Which will have to happen. It always does. But I mean, like, Nolan has knocked it out of the park pretty much every time.
I was just, I was looking at his list of recent movies, and yeah, West Side Story is 2021. And then, yeah, The Fablemans is 2022. That was it.
I never even saw that, but I understand it was about his like childhood growing up, and it was quite sad. And apparently, he went right through it.
Huh.
Probably because his parents were Jewish immigrants who had suffered through the Holocaust, which would make sense.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize he'd kind of dropped off, but it's been a while since he's been significantly influential.
Well, he did Ready Player One, and I did see that one, and I was like, "This is Spielberg."
I just read that. I didn't realize that was him. I didn't hate the movie. I liked the book a lot. Movie was fine. I feel like with video or with books that are kind of in that genre like that, with the video game references and all that stuff, it's just a fan service film anyway. So it's hard to get too sucked into the story and be immersed in the universe because, like, yeah, this is Halo and all the stuff that we played. So it was cool.
Yeah, it's like, no offense, but like, I don't need Steven Spielberg's take on video games.
I mean, like, I don't want my grandpa's take. No one wants my take at this point.
Right. Well, yeah, we're
I've
already
aged
brushing up on
out of
aging
video
up.
games as far as like my opinion mattering. Like, no offense, Spielberg.
Oh.
Okay, cool. Have fun with your video game. All right, sorry.
Yeah. No, video games have
Thanks,
are
Joe
something I
Biden. I
miss
appreciate
doing, but just never do.
your input. Games
No,
are quite nifty.
Well, I mean, I will laugh. I mean, I know it's not. It's Joe Biden didn't really realize what AI was until Mission Impossible, apparently. So,
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. That's it's difficult. Yeah. All right. Okay. That's fine.
Didn't Spielberg do
Still
a movie
big
called
Joe Biden
AI?
fan. Big Joe Biden fan.
he did.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was a
great.
Stanley Kubrick movie originally.
Really?
Yes, it was.
He died
Highly underrated
before he was able to
movie,
finish it.
but if you go revisit it now, fucking great.
Speaking of which, John's essay. Tyler, have you read all of that?
Oh yeah.
That is terrifying. But
Yeah,
it's
and it was
very
funny how
relevant.
he like wrote it. No, I just thought it was funny that John, wrote the thing about agentic AI, and then literally like the next day, a CEO of HP gets on stage, is like, we are unleashing brand new agentic AI for the infrastructure of tomorrow, and it's going to be. And I'm just like sitting there like laughing, like, okay.
Well, it bridges into this movie very well because it deals with the issues of, did you stop to think whether or not you should while you were busy figuring out if you could? And we're on the precipice of an AI takeover that will certainly reshape the world.
I think
Yep.
that's kind of an interesting thing because very clearly there has never once been a dynamic of any part of the human existence that ever wondered about whether or not they should.
No, not until after the fact.
Now, because there was plenty of time before the atom bomb was created for people to wonder about whether or not we should. But during that time period of whether or not we should, we were building it. Same principle applies to this movie. Same principle applies to AI. This will be the downfall of the entire human existence at some point. It's just a matter of time.
We
Whether or not
did it because we could.
advance enough to. Yeah, I mean that's literally, we go places because we can. Who the fuck really wants to go to Mars? Like, why? Why would you want to go to the moon? The most dangerous place you could possibly be within our discoverable, travelable way. Now, it'd be
I love how like all these
but
modern day
think about it for a minute, though. I mean, you're at a 3%, 3.5% loss rate just on launch.
Yeah, I mean,
Now
I'd
you're
go
going to the fucking Mars.
I'd go
where
to the
we've never
moon
been.
if I knew it was like going to Tennessee. Like I might
Absolutely.
die, but I probably won't.
But remember,
yeah,
I
back
know
then,
it sounds
like
kind of
going to the moon,
negative,
going
but
on
like
launch
they
is
keep
so
talking.
small compared to what the C rate was of just people traveling from Europe to the New World,
Oh yeah,
and we still did it.
just kept.
I think that's what's kind of like makes me laugh about these billionaires and Elon Musk and like Jeff Bezos and all these other dickheads. Like, we need to like we could travel for 1,000 years in space and get great technology, but we're not going to find, as far as we can tell right now, any place that's going to be near as habitable as Earth. And we have all these dipshits being like, we just need to figure out a way to terraform Mars and make Mars habitable. Like, guys, we're literally destroying.
Terraform.
We can't do that here. What makes you think we can do it in Mars?
Terraform now.
Yeah.
Create new atmosphere here, man. Fucking focus. What the
There's
hell?
a lot of
It's
reasons.
very feasible. Why do we need to sit there and be like, Mars had water billions of years ago? Like, yes.
And we got a bunch of it.
There's a lot of
We have
reasons.
so much more.
There's a lot of
Flooding
reasons to
us
explore all that
Most
stuff.
of the planet's water. It's pretty convenient.
There's a lot of reasons to explore all that stuff, but right, why do we need to send human beings to Mars to then either die there or colonize it? For what purpose? I mean, yeah, we're going to die here on this planet eventually, so it isn't unwise to start thinking about colonizing if we want to keep the species going, but it would be wiser to just take care of this one.
Sense. And what's funny is, like, we're worried about, like, I don't know, probably 3-4 million years in the future when we're sitting here at 100,000 years of existence in general, 70,000 years of societal existence, like 6,000 years of civilization existence. And we're like, whenever the sun explodes, we're all going to die. We got to be somewhere else. It's like, dude, I think you're worrying about a little far in advance.
4 billion years gives you a few minutes to move the furniture or, make arrangements. I
That's
think
what I'm saying.
you'll be probably fine.
And like
on
3
that
million years is kind of a climate change prediction where we're suddenly not able to live here anymore. But again, if you can terraform Mars, just fucking fix that, and we're good for like 1 billion, right?
The problem isn't going to be the survivability of the planet; it's the survivability of the humans desperately struggling
That's
for
what I'm saying. But
decreased resources.
Talking in that context,
Yeah.
And we got that cloud seeding, baby.
Roaches will
Send it over to
Yeah.
Mars.
Cloud
Rats will
seed.
make it.
Just do it there.
Which,
All
to be
right,
clear,
so
does exist, but does not cause fucking floods. Anyways, all right,
yeah.
sorry. I know we got to wrap up here a little bit, but
To wrap up the movie, though, we should cover a few topics. One, was there a particular scene that you thought needed more, or was there a scene that didn't exist that would have explained something you were missing? I think Tyler kind of touched on one, and it was just a visual continuity error with the T-Rex paddock kind of looking like, wait a minute. But for me, the scene with the raft, and I know this is in a new movie, but the scene with them on the river in the raft escaping, trying to escape the T-Rex was one of the most stressful parts of the book for me. And I would have loved to have that one in the movie. But anyway, what do you guys think?
I got one. And this stands out and it stands alone. And I think y'all will all agree. Now, y'all explain to me how Muldoon, the man who Hammond himself says knows more about raptors than any other person on the planet, has been observing, watching, paying attention to, knows their problem-solving capability. And this motherfucker sets out to go and hunt one and never once considers the hunting tactics he's clearly been watching this entire time.
Literally walks into the
And
exact
instead is so confused. Was he calling it in? Was he never paying attention? Was he just a big blowhard? Because he looks up, clever girl.
Yeah.
No, it's not a clever girl. She does it all the time.
He just walked right into her.
You literally saw it happen with the other raptors that one killed. They joined up, gang together, boom, killed the other one. That raptor should have seen it coming too, because it knows the hunting tactics.
Yeah, she was like, I can't believe he's walking into this. Which is
just completely nonsense.
You're totally right. And that's one of the things about the book I love.
You'd have continuity errors, but as far as actually seeing how bloated movies have gotten nowadays, this is like clean, crisply edited, like, what is an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours? A fast 2 hours of that.
It's
a lot of shit happens in this movie.
It's right
this
at 2
is
hours.
A really well-paced movie with not a whole lot of bloat. I don't really know what I would... There's a couple of things here and there, maybe on a couple of scenes, or add like the raft or some of those things. But all in all, this is a perfectly edited, paced movie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, I wouldn't really change any much.
All right, so what's your favorite scene, Thomas?
Probably the clever girl one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean,
that
seriously,
whole
there
sequence
was so much
is
tension
stressful.
going up to it because I thought it was gonna be, because again, I hadn't read the book. I thought this was about to be a safari fucking hunt, and it is the scene that has stuck out with me since watching it. Didn't make sense at the time. I was let down, but I go back and I appreciate it so much more now because the selling that actor, for God's knows, I should know who that guy's name is, but I don't.
Is it that guy for this movie?
But yeah, but he was the perfect guy. He's like, again, just, oh, I've got her. Oh, I've got her. And it's like,
oh, shit.
You don't, do you?
Yeah, you don't.
You clearly phoned this job in.
Yeah, you were bullshitting on your knowledge.
And if a rifle could kill them,
it was a shotgun.
It
was a shotgun.
It wasn't a rifle. It was a shotgun.
Which is also bullshit.
Come on.
Because in the movie, or in the book, he had a rocket launcher. And he was in a drain pipe just nuking these motherfuckers. And it was like, this is the Muldoon I want. But I get that that's probably not PG-13.
Probably should have killed John Hammond. But they did with a decent survivor's guilt and all that stuff. But,
no, he didn't have any survivor's guilt. He turned around and then did the exact same shit again and sent Ian Malcolm's girlfriend off to the new place to also almost die. But that's
that's incorrect.
Get my blood pressure up.
Yeah, but okay. So
we don't want
what's
to
your
do that,
favorite scene?
So we should probably wrap it up.
Tyler, what's your favorite scene?
Favorite scene, I'm gonna say it's the T-Rex scene when they finally really meet the T-Rex and it breaks through. Followed very, very closely when they see the dinosaurs for the first time and he grabs her head and she has a holy shit.
Yeah,
those are probably the two best scenes to me.
That's an iconic scene.
Yeah, I agree with you on the T-Rex attack. That one for me, especially because for me in the book too, there's a little more build up because the juvenile T-Rex is on scene as well, and it darts between the cars, so it's a lot more level. This whole ravine thing is farther away. It makes more sense in the book. But yeah, in the movie though, just the T-Rex stepping over the threshold and then the roar and the holy shit, that's a dinosaur. That's not fake. That sealed it.
What about the Triceratops scene there?
Really good. I mean, him laying on the belly and just letting it breathe. That the child
I
in
mean,
all
like
of
that's
us, I
like
think,
the
was
kid.
there. Yeah,
Just as a kid, like that's what you'd want to do, you know?
and that's kind of what's cool
That is
about this
exactly
movie
what
is
I
it's
want to do.
one
Oh,
banger scene
absolutely.
after another. Like every
And
new
I'll put my
scene
head
has a new
on
element
my
of
dog
danger.
Ruby. I was just saying, I'll put my head on my dog Ruby occasionally and just be like, listen to her and be like, oh, and kind of recreate
Oh
that.
yeah,
Obviously, it's not
dude. Can you
Triceratops, but
imagine? Like,
it's definitely
I
inspired
would,
by that.
dude. I would so wait for that Triceratops to get like feeling better and throw a saddle on there and just try to ride it. I mean, I know I would. I mean, you got to because it's not an eat. It's not a meat eater. I
I
feel
feel
like I
like
can do this.
I feel like there's some concept art of the
It'll
kids
kill me.
riding the small one in the book.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Probably.
that's a great scene. But that's kind of this movie's virtue is that almost every scene is either iconic or a very suspenseful watch. Like it's an excellent rewatchable film because you can jump in at any point in the movie. You know where they are in the story and what they've accomplished or experienced so far, and you know where you're going. And it's just like this is fun.
And keep in mind too, it's so amazingly told through almost kind of the heart of a child because again, most of the time period is either Alan Grant. He's always been infatuated with this since he's been a child. He says he doesn't like it. In the book, that's not the case. Then meets children who see that same innocence, that same exploration of it. I mean, it's basically just all of us reliving our own childhood and the fascination of dinosaurs, and then the reality of the dangers associated with those fascinations and that innocence being betrayed.
And you're right there because as a kid you're watching a movie with kids in it, you're going to identify with them as the protagonist or the hero, even if they're not. But you also have Sam Neill portraying Dr. Grant as this quickly adapting fatherly figure who realizes these kids are terrified and they need me to be here and just say it's going to be okay. And you kind of just feel that way when you're on scene with all three of them. You're like, okay, they're going to be fine because they've got Dr. Grant plot armor. And it's PG-13, so I doubt we're going to see a kid get actually
Yeah, no,
eviscerated by
no
a
child
raptor.
murder in a PG-13. Hook got away with it somehow or
If they
another, but
were
that
to
was Rufio.
remake,
So
if they were going to remake this movie, or at least remake the Jurassic Park story by Michael Crichton, would it be a good movie, or does it need to be a 10-part miniseries? And then do we go rated R on HBO?
you can't remake
No,
Jurassic Park as a
don't change
movie.
this movie. I mean, they keep trying to do this movie with these new Jurassic Park
Don't do it.
movies, and
Can't
Yep,
do
I
it.
just say no, don't do it.
I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think you're right. This is the one.
Yeah.
It stands
So
alone.
if they wanted to explore it in a different fashion as a show, I think that'd be brilliant. I don't know why they haven't done that. I'm sure probably just due to the budget.
I think
It'd
there
be a
was
very
a
expensive
yeah.
show.
I think there's a cartoon that is in canon, so like it does tie into the story and it doesn't alter stuff, which I think is kind of
But
cool.
but an HBO Game of Thrones style, man. I mean, yeah, they could throw that money at it. I mean, there were literal dinosaurs in it. I know there were dragons, but you know what I mean.
But I think what would be difficult is unless you literally just start letting dinosaurs walk among civilians on continental US, there's really no more ways to tell the story because the idea of we're going to genetically reproduce dinosaurs and we don't know what's going to happen, the chaos of it all, the lack of control, all that stuff is a very fascinating, compelling story. But you can't just keep
Preservation,
retelling it.
man.
You just can't keep telling the same
Preservation.
story. Yeah,
You got to teach it as you teach it as the same way you would like back like okay to use John Hammond's example, condors. He goes out and creates a bunch of condors. No one's going to get upset about it. Well, he did basically create a bunch of condors, but in essence, he created something that people should get upset about, but at the same time need to be preserved because they are there now, right? And so you could do this constant thing of like study versus preservation versus capitalism and commercialism. And I mean, like, I think you could really explore all or aspects of that, and it'd be pretty interesting. But instead, what they've done is they said, let's just lob $200 million at it, throw some CGI in there, and Chris Pratt can take a shirt.
right. Well, and I think it's kind of like the Star Wars universe suffers a little bit from the duplication element, but you're right. You're passing down the story, and you've got as much as you
They're
did or
fresh
didn't.
elements, man. They're there. They're hanging out. They're fucking
Absolutely.
there. It's very easy.
Right, and if you're a kid growing up and the new sequels of Star Wars are coming out, regardless of how we feel about it, those kids are going to love those movies because there's a hell of a lot of great stuff in them, even if it's weird
You can't
story
have a kid watch
contradictions, all
Star Wars
stuff.
and it not like Star Wars.
And now they're getting the treatment of Star Wars visually that we wanted from the New Hope and that stuff because we were older. I mean, we were young when we saw Star Wars, but it was an older movie, so we could see it was already a little bit dated. But if you're growing up now and you're watching that stuff, so to that end, I think the point that you kind of were making is that even if these movies are bad and you're just failing to remake the old one, throwing money at it isn't the best way. They do still serve a purpose in the culture, at least in terms of keeping the story alive. And eventually, they'll either discover the original movie and be like, this is amazing, or they'll read the book, or somebody will come up with a new way to tell the story, like a good show or something like that. So yeah, it'd be interesting.
I think you're right. We should probably write a screenplay.
Yeah.
And on that note, gentlemen, I'm going to go get a beer and we'll call it an evening. So
There's that some.
No, that's a good ending point. And guys, that was a good podcast.
Yeah, well done, gentlemen. And I will see you next week.
Solid, tight movie breakdown. All right, yeah.
Enjoy the brewery, sir.
I haven't thought of a movie yet, just because I haven't given it thought. Anything you guys have seen or wanted to see again?
Let's do Doctor Strangelove.
Okay, Doctor Strangelove. Sounds relevant.